red pill to me, according to the way Glenn explained it to me, was a little better than how you or Michael explained it to me, because the red pill was basically like a woman needs to be loyal to her man, keep her man happy. It's a like a monogamous relationship, which red pill doesn't really do, but it's like a monogamous relationship. A woman needs to stay with her man because of DNA and biological stuff. A man needs to be loyal to his woman, and men need to do A, B, and C, and then which A, B, and C is like protecting and providing and not really loyalty, but then women is loyalty and being fit and staying in the house and taking care of the house and taking care of the children. That's what the traditional red pill was supposed to be.
Okay.
And then
absolutely none of what you just said is a red pill.
So what's red pill?
Zero.
Okay.
The red pill is the praxeology of intersexual dynamics. That's it. Okay. So anytime you add something like here's what you should do, best practices, then you get into practice, then you get into belief, then you get into advice, then you get into like here's my opinion. Okay. The red pill in its purest form is understanding. Okay, a praxeology is the study of human behavior in that human behavior has a purpose, it has a function. There's a reason why we do what we do, okay? In this case, we're talking about intersexual dynamics. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no prescriptions, there is no best practices. It is an analysis of what we're doing as sort of as being behavior. Okay. So it's behavior. That's why Mike always sticks to like evolutionary psychology, evil bio. So the reason I ask this is because when people want to tell me like what the red pill is, they usually like refer to something they see on Myron or Kevin Samuels or something like that.
To be honest, yeah.
I understand that, but that's another one of these sort of misconceptions because people don't understand that it's not about giving you advice. It's not about giving you 12 rules for life or something like that. There's no template for the red pill. Here, do these things, then you'll be red pill and you'll live a better life. That's bullshit. And anybody telling you that is selling you something. They're selling you a program or a book or whatever that is that they're doing, okay? Red pill in its purest form is just the understanding, and it's the data collection, and it's connecting dots. Don't get me wrong. It's like making correlations between all this understanding. So that's why when people ask me, what's the red pill? I can't tell them in 5 minutes or less. It's a college fucking course. Okay?
Oh, fuck.
It's
that I definitely wouldn't take because I'm uneducated and non-cerebral.
Well, hear me out though. Think about this though. If I'm going to talk about human sexuality, or if I'm going to talk about women's nature and men's nature, I have to think of all the subtopics that I have to know. I have to know evolutionary psychology. I have to know evolutionary biology. I have to know endocrinology, your hormones and everything else. I have to know something about your brain, like neurology. Okay. Right. I have to know about what happened in the past, anthropology. I have to know what's happening right now, sociology. And so there's all these subfields, because if you think about everything that we do in human culture, or just being human to begin with, like intersexual dynamics crosses over into every aspect. Remember when I was telling you that I don't actually do shows like on politics per se or religion or anything like that? I stay away from those because that's not in my wheelhouse. Yeah. There are people that do a better job of that than I do. But if we're going to have a discussion of intersexual dynamics and religion, I wrote a full book on that. If we're going to talk about politics and how all politics are gender politics right now, I'm happy to talk about that. Right? If you want to talk about feminism, we can talk about social. We can talk about like social sciences. Yeah. So there's all of these crossovers that go all that permeate all of those other subcategories, I guess. So I was explaining this to the guys on the Danza project I am a master. I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm a master of some. Okay, so when it's like, so if I have to know something about the human brain, I can go and like reference people who know something about it, or people will send me links, or they'll send me graphs or whatever, or stats and things like that. The things that we tend to focus on in social media right now are whatever like sort of plays to people's like pain points right now. So if I find a study that says that when women go through their menstrual cycle, that there are actually there's physical changes that happen in your brain when you go through your menstrual cycle. That's really dry stuff, right? People don't want to hear that on Fresh and Fit, right? But the thing is,
but women do. Yeah. We want to hear. I'm like, that's why.
So have you heard this before? for instance, there's a real people are, especially traditional conservatives, are coming down on like hormonal birth control right now, the pill, right? And how it makes women crazy and fat and bitchy and whatever.
It does.
And then part of that study is that when women are on the pill, they tend to be attracted to different guys than when they are off the pill. So they're saying that when a woman wants to get pregnant and she goes off the pill and she sees the guy that she married, she goes, "Why am I with this motherfucker?" Right? Because their brain changes, and the things that they're attracted to when they were on the pill are not what they're attracted to when they're off the pill. Now, that's all part of that brain study I just told you about. That part people will fucking listen to. But
that
the other part
would,
of
yeah.
but if I get into like the neurochemistry of it, people are like, huh? You know, because it's, again, that's the cerebral part. Like, people don't want to fucking understand that stuff. They just want to stick, and they want to get into the stuff like, okay, tell me how to get laid. How do I get my dick wet? How do I use this information to get my dick wet?
Dead ass though. Oh my God. Because all these guys, I hate to say it, but like a lot of the guys that watch you guys are a lot of desperate dudes, bro.
Okay, so here's the thing is, like, those are the most vocal, most like visible dudes.
Yeah.
But then I have guys in my DMs every day saying, "Dude, you saved my life. I had a noose around my neck. I had one guy tell me this. He said he had set a date that he was going to commit suicide, right? So I shouldn't have said that. He was going to self-delete. And that he was trying to, like, within before he got to that date, he was trying to set up so his life insurance was okay, and that none of his ex-wife and his kids wouldn't be inconvenienced by him, like, you know, offing himself, right?
That'd be my dumbass. If I'm like, I'm going to just make sure no one's inconvenienced of my suicide.
So I had this guy, actually, one of the first speaking engagements I did.
Yeah.
He told me, he says, he flew out just to meet me, and I was like, he was tearful, right? And he said, "You know what?" I says, "My kids have a father today because I read your book, and I canceled my death date because of it." And he says, "Because now I have a different outlook, and I know what was going on." And I essentially, what I do is, I don't tell people how to live their lives. I give them actionable information. So what he did was, he took that actionable information, applied it to his life, decided he wanted to live, and now his kids have. And he was just very, you know. And by the way, he's not the only one. I've got hundreds, well, if not thousands, of guys who've hit me up with a similar story, or they say that their lives are different because they use this information to better themselves.
Yeah.
So when people say, like you just said, and this is, I'm not blaming you, because this is a common misperception because of idiots like Pearl and idiots like, you know, like, because they throw out this bullshit.
No, yeah, you're right, yeah.
And so they're or even Andrew Tate, Pearl, you know, Kevin Samuels to a lesser degree, whatever podcast they just think that it's just this moronic, you know, over and over of the same show when they're doing it. That's because what they're doing is they're applying a practice to the praxeology that is the red pill.
Yeah.
So when I talk about the red pill, I'm talking about stats. I'm talking about you know, intersectional dynamics. I'm talking about society, anthropology, all the, like I said, all that stuff. About. But the thing is that I'm not in the business of making men better men. Nor should I think anybody in the red pill should be. I'm in the business of having men, equipping men, educating men so that they can be better men themselves. Because if I was to say, I have 12 rules for life, or here, follow these 7 steps, and number 4 will surprise you, right?
Maybe not necessarily your content, but do you think that the red pill movement is hurting society?
See, I hate it when we use the term movement, because I don't think it's a movement. I think the people who get into podcasts and they get into being influencers, okay? I hate the word influencer.
So do I.
Because
so do I.
Because it goes up my neck every time I hear that. And it's because, like, who are you influencing, and what is the influence you're trying to, like, insert into people's minds?
Yeah.
Because whenever, and here's my greatest problem, whenever I relate statistics or the latest study or something that I'm reading or something I'm learning myself, I'm still a student at all this too. We all will be.
Yeah.
That's the thing about praxeology. It's written in pencil, not in pen.
Even an expert is still a student.
Exactly. So when I put this out there, I put out a study, right? And people will say, you can't tell people information like data and statistics. You can't tell them like hard objective truths or hard objective data without telling them how to feel about it. Because if you don't, they will hate you for it. Because they'll insert their own meaning and their own reason for you doing that in the first place.
What the fuck?
No, it's true.
No, I believe you, but it's like it's just funny because I'm like, like, isn't it men that are always like, oh my feelings, oh like, oh you and your little feelings, you guys are fucking pussies and all this bullshit, and then now that we're telling men how to feel.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to. That's what
No,
I'm
you're
saying.
not trying to.
I'm not trying to because what I'm saying is this: is that like you can't tell them. Most people you can't tell them just hard up data.
You just can't tell them data.
No, because what they'll do is they'll say, "Why are you telling me this data? How are you trying to change my mind? What are you saying? I'm living wrong." Like
so
they'll insert
so true.
they'll insert their own meaning into why you're even selling them in the first place. You can't just up and say, dude, here's a textbook, read the textbook. Why? Do you think I need to read this shit? Is that what you're saying? Like they will come up, they will make up whatever fucking reason they want. It's like, I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm just saying, read this, look at this. This is like, I don't care if you throw it away, but I mean, just here's what I've been reading. And why don't you look? Well, in the introduction of all my books, I say this, I'm not a psychologist. I have a background in behavioral psychology. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a guru. I'm not a messiah. I'm not a fucking, whatever. I'm slightly a rock star. But I'm not these things that you probably are expecting me to be. What I do is I connect dots, okay? So I can't connect dots unless I have dots to connect in the first place, right? So I've got to be able to talk about those things, and then I make correlations between those dots. If you think I'm wrong about the connections I'm making between those dots, that's the first thing I want to hear. You can call me a son of a bitch and tell me to go fuck off and you got long hair, but you do whatever you fuck you want. But what I want to hear is why do you think where am I wrong?